In this video we're going to be talking about Customize and how we can take an existing design and adapt it to the customer's requirements. So I'm just going to click 3Cs. I'm going to go to my design manager. Let's just whiz through these and I'm going to get down to my customer, who is called John Doe. So these are the designs that we have. So we've gone through the search, we've compared, these are the rings that we want to have a closer look at. So this first one in the list, 1279, double click, wait till that design loads up into the customization screen, and there appears the ring. Now this interface is a theme that is embedded in the product. I've gone a little step further and put Stuller's emblem in here. You could put your own in here, and this is something that I'll either teach on another video tutorial, or you'll have to come to my primary training class and see how this is done. So from here, what can I do? Well, the first thing is, how do you manipulate this on screen? So you've got your usual zoom, which is just your mouse wheel. Now, one thing I always tell my students for Matrix and for Counter Sketch is hold the mouse where you want to zoom. You don't point your eyes over here when you want to look closer at this. So you don't walk over here where my mouse is. You hold your mouse in the area that you want to zoom to. I hope that makes a little bit more sense. I do get customers from time to time doing this and then wondering why the rings disappeared. Always hold the mouse where you want to zoom to. Right, on the subject of mouse manipulation, if I right click and hold, I can spin the item around and have all the way look around this inside, outside, using conjunction with zoom, and have all, look all the way around it. If I hold down Alt, right click and hold, this is what I call a dynamic zoom. There might be a more official term for it. This is very helpful when we come to the rendering part of this video collection. Now if you get in a bit of a pickle, i.e. you do this by holding down Shift and moving, so it turns into a hand, and you're panning around and it's kind of going round the periphery of your vision, and it's all getting a bit crazy. There's some buttons up here. I'm going to talk about these as and when we're going to use them. So you've got one here that does top view and locks the screen to only this view. Now right click and hold does something different. It turns into a little hand. You've got through finger, and again you can zoom in, side view, and through finger. Now I like to use these views in conjunction with this button here, which is a show hide grid lines. These little squares here represent 1mm, so you can ballpark the size of a given piece without going into the customization sliders over here. So this is just over 2mm wide here. The claws are about 1mm wide, and the stone, I can get that from the details, just so you know. Now in 3/4 view I'd turn that off because it starts to look a bit technical, kind of takes away the panache and the pizzazz of doing what you're doing. So over here, what do we have? Design options. So the first thing is the ring size. What size are they? Mine's currently set to UK sizing, and you go from A to, let's see, what size does it go up to? Does it go bigger than a W? Actually, we need to talk about that. It doesn't go bigger than a W. It's not to say you can't order it in a larger size. I know some of us have heroic finger sizes. So, starting from the top, so it's a size M. Gem center rotation, I'm going to leave that one alone for a moment, because with a round stone that doesn't make any sense, because if you rotate around, it doesn't make any difference. Center, setting center gallery rail on or off. Any working jeweler will tell you that not having that on there is a recipe for disaster, in all honesty, especially if this part of the shoulder is not attached here. Just the strengths, your customers might want this because it's going to let more light into the diamond, but it's not a good idea. So why is there a facility to turn it on and off? Well, I don't know. I just wouldn't not have that on in this case. Gem center accent gems setting style. Now that doesn't work because you have to turn this on first, which turns on these accent stones, which are the stones down the side. Excuse me. So what does that do? Gem center accent style. All that does is they are now channel set, and when I click this off, that turns the claws back on. So that's that design. So let's say that he quite likes that the way that that is. There's nothing else he wants to change, so we click save. Now my advice is pose this as big as you can get it before you click save. You see that little animation where it went off the screen? Got the design manager, there it is. So let's just shut that down a moment. Let's say I saved it like that. Save, go back to the design manager. It's really tiddly, it's hard to see. So my advice is, I'm just going to delete that one, is make it quite large before you save it. So he quite likes that one, that's on the shortlist. So we're going to go to this next one. You haven't saved change to customization screen. Well, actually I have saved it, so I disagree, so no. This is going to open up my next design, and we're going to go into this one in a lot more depth. So he's like, yeah, that looks beautiful. There's a few things I'm not keen on, and being in retail for the amount of years I am, I know when a customer's not on the same page. You get that, yeah, not the, yeah, that's what I want, yeah, smile, tears, you know, waving of hand and all that good stuff. Gem center rotation, again, not relevant just yet. Setting center gallery rail on or off, so I'm going to put that on because I like belt and braces. Shank millgrain when gems are off. The gems are on, so we're going to leave that alone a second. Gem accent on or off. Let's get rid of that. Don't want that on. Gem center accent gems on or off. So if I turn that off, although that profile of Shank is not really doing it for me, if I then click this, it then puts a millgrain around that edge. Everybody to their own. So let's put the gems back on, because this is what he likes. Gem accents, I think we've tried that one. Matching band contour, we'll talk about that in a moment. Band gems on or off. So let's go to here, let's turn on the band. So now we've got a matching band, and what that does is allows me to turn the stones, change the setting style on those. Accent gems, let's just have a look at that one. Hold on, where was that bend, the contour? Matching band contour, straight or curved. Now it's very subtle, the change on that, and I'll show you what that's all about in a moment. Let's just turn that band off a moment. So that's getting close to what he likes. So gem center, notice this stays open. So let's have a look at this a moment. Let's change this to this shape, oval. And if I go back up to gem center rotation, what happens is the whole stone moves in this direction. So let's try this emerald cut. Notice it's that way. Click the rotation and it moves it around that way. You know, more traditional styling. So let's go back to my round. Size of stone, increase or decrease. You're limited to 0.24 on this design, and up to 5.26 carat. Oh, I wish. Wow, that looks cool. Let's take that down to a more manageable size. We'll take it to about just over a carat. That's that magic number that the customer's wanting to go for. And you can input the exact size and dimensions of the stone that you have in your hand out of your stock. So let's collapse that. Let's go to setting style. This is the claw shape. So I'm going to change this to something a little bit more smooth. I wasn't keen on that one. You've got all sorts of different shapes, so I'm going to go for that round. The prong size, if you go to this view, turn on the grid like we did earlier, the prong size is about 1mm. All this does is increases that millimeter size over the existing size. So let's just see how big that's going. That's 0.3mm above the 1mm that I think they are. So let's just take that back down to 0. I don't like chunky. Let's go to shank. Let's go to 3/4 so we can see what we're doing. Let's turn off the grid. Let's have a closer look at this. Now this is when the gems are off. So if we just scoot up here, and we're going to turn those stones off temporarily, and this is what this is showing. So if I change this to this shape, then we're going very smooth. Let's change it to that one and just show you the various styles, and there is quite a few to choose from. Let's go back, let's go for all round, and let's just come back up to here. You've got different shapes of the outside. This is supposedly a Euro shank, which we don't use in Europe. Side thickness, you can see this is a typical British designer. Side thickness, let's just increase that to the max and see what that does. And that makes it very, very chunky. Let's take that down to 1.7, which is probably more like it. Bottom thickness 1.7, take that down to 1.5 if you wished. And this is this thickness here, this depth. Then you've got width buttons, so it's currently set at 2.8, so I can lock that, take that down to 1.9. And because I don't have any accent gems, that is disabled on that. So let's just see what happens if I go back up to accent gems on, and that is very, very tight in there. Let's see what size those stones are, because everything works in relation to what sizes you've picked. So it's saying a 2.1mm stone. Oh no, sorry, it's saying 1mm stones because you've got a 2.1mm. Still has got your back on this, that you can't make sillies, and if you do make a silly, they'll correct it for you. So if I increase the width of the shank, so let's say I took that up to 2.5mm, watch what happens with the stones. The stones have gone up to 1.5mm. So this has a, let's just turn that off again. Let's go to gem accent. Let's just have a look at this. So I can change this to princess cut on the shoulder, and if I increase the size of the stones on the shoulder, is it going to let me do that? Yes. Wow, let's take it. You'll notice that the width of the shank matches the size of stone that I have asked for. So let's just reverse this back a bit. That one was changing the bridge stone shape. Let's just take that back to brilliant, because it has a bearing on the shank up here. So he likes the size of those stones, but there is a little bit too many. So let's just move this back. So just walk this back. Let's take it to a more manageable size to his pocket. So I think 5 stones is quite a popular number of stones on the shoulders, and I can change that to 3 if I wish. So that's that design in a nutshell, the things I can do to that design, of which there is quite a few permutations. But before I finish this customization, I'm just going to go to the band section and let's just have a look at this. Now this is very much a wed fit design in respect of the wedding band doesn't need to be contoured, but if I did want it contoured, let's just have a look. Oh, here we go. Band 1. This is a new tab. Gems on or off, but he wants them on, so we'll leave those on there, matching band, click here, and the contour amount. So this allows me to change the contour. So let's just go back to ring, matching band, contour on. Let's go back to band, contour shape. Let's see what happens when we do that. I think I might have taken that a bit too far. Contour amount, could take that back, and that just relaxes that down. Anyway, I'm doing things that are not necessary on this design. I just wanted to show you how that works. So that's our first foray into the customization side. So, are you ready for the next video? Goodbye.